once had going into this season. But anything's possible. Let's take a look at the bans. We'll bring them up on your screen. We'll see where we're actually going to play.
I'm speaking of map bans, let's ignore map bans for a second here. And both these teams play very different styles. You know, IDK can play quite aggressive. They can play lockdown. They can have invest in a very heavy roam game. The same goes with OrgLess, depending on how they use their roamers, whether they have entry on KS, whether they have aces on entry, whether they have Hungry, and of course Hungry, who is probably the best Ying player in the world.
Ying will be banned.
And he's never, ever going to play her again. That's just the way that the operator bans are going to work. You can settle in and get used to that. We have Bank, Consulate, and Oregon left. What is going to be banned out? Well, one of these maps should actually be off your screen. Should be at some point.
Odd. I think it's Oregon. I guess we're playing Oregon.
We'll go back to Oregon. So we will go back to Oregon, and we'll have IDK starting on defense and OrgLess starting on attack. Doesn't their logo kind of look like a Q?
It does really look like a Q. Yeah.
Like a Q.
It's an O and a G.
OrgLess.
I'm pretty sure it was the intent there, but
I would say so.
It looks like a Q with a line in the middle. I don't know. On the other hand, theirs is a little bit easier to distinguish, you know, colors.
IDK's logo is actually very creative. I really do like it.
These logos are technically very similar to each other. It's just one is easier to interpret.
Yes.
But they're both just a series of letters. Anyway, defense for I don't know, attack for OrgLess and Oregon, the same map we just saw. So almost a guaranteed Ying ban. Hopefully not a Hibana ban. I think the guaranteed nature of the Ying ban means we might not see the Hibana ban, but at the same time, we saw Ying and Hibana both banned in the previous match, and Ying was banned in the previous match. So there's been a lot of Yings, and the Hibana could still happen. I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of times I think we dread when a Mirror or Hibana get banned because there is an inherent wild nature to the strategies, which can be exciting, but at the same time, there's a bit of an off-the-cuffness to it. With that said, we just watched a matchup where there were pretty 8 exciting rounds, and there was no Hibana and no Mira. So with the caliber that these two teams are at and how close I think this match could possibly be, we could be in for a treat no matter really who gets banned.
I do have to give a lot of credit to Vitality playing around the Hibana Mira ban. You know, they came out in a 6-2 victory. That's going to be great for the round differential. But because of that, you know, and it was in counter to Supremacy's bans of those two really important operators. So well done to them. But in this match, and I don't mean to offend Supremacy, but this match is way closer. Like in terms of like going into it, you know, the way you're weighing these two squads, you got to imagine this is going to be like probably a closer vote, probably a closer actual match when we get into it. And you know, same map. But here you go. Here's the community vote. We'll find out what you guys actually think.
I love that production has started doing that. They've started they think, yeah, oh, no, and then it's back the other way. So, you know.
27 to OrgLess and 73 to I don't know.
I honestly did not expect the community vote to be that one-sided. I will be honest with you.
You know, it's weird. I don't think a lot of people actually know, as weird as it sounds, if you're not really following Rainbow Six Pro League, you might not even know who OrgLess is.
That's a very good point. Because a lot of people still refer to them as 1UP.
Yeah, because they've been 1UP for a long time, and you know, now they just don't have a team. A lot of squads are like, who's this? Did they come up through Challenger League? What's going on? You know, where'd they come from?
And we might not see too much left of them as OrgLess if they get picked up by a roster relatively soon. They will be competing under the Charity Nerds moniker in Valencia, because Charity Nerds, a local charity organization that helps the underprivileged and the sick get access to video games. If I recall correctly, excellent organization, but offered to put up some of the money for them to compete at Valencia. That's nice. They GoFundMe'd their way to DreamHack. A Ying gone and a Thatcher, which means that we will see both hard instructors still available. A Thatcher is an interesting choice here to be taken out by OrgLess.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the Thatcher ban. I guess it kind of makes sense. It's definitely going to hinder the attackers when they're attacking both sides, right? But there are still ways around using a Thatcher. A Twitch, for example, as much as we haven't been seeing her a whole lot, probably because the Mira's been getting banned a lot, and
I would suspect as much.
It's probable we'll see the Mira ban here as well, although that could not happen. Nope, there it is. There goes Mira. So I guess it must have on. But you know, she has been getting banned out a lot, which is why we don't see the Twitch as much. Still, you know, even without a Thatcher, without a Twitch, because she doesn't get played, there are ways around electronics. I mean, IQ as a great example. You can identify where they are and then play around them accordingly. most electronic gadgets in this game are good at one thing, but that's all they do. And you can, there's always a way to get by them, even without an anti-electronic operator.
Now, my eyes could be deceiving me, but it looks like Mira, as it stands right now, has a 100% ban rate in EU. I could be wrong because I think there are 2 matches that I'm missing.
We'll see it later, I'm sure.
It's definitely, it's interesting because it's like I'm looking back here and like North America, they only banned her twice on the first play day. You know, like the 3rd play day, they only banned her twice again. Latin America, I think, only banned her once on their first play day. So it's been very interesting to watch. EU really does not like the Spanish defender at all, and they're constantly taking her out of action. I wonder what we could speculate on as to why that would be the case.
Easy speculation, in my opinion. I mean, you could go to the very nature of Europe. You know, it's just they're a very strategic region, the most strategic region of all of them. And you know, I'm not saying they're the best at strategy. I'm saying that the way they like to play their game, the meta is usually very predictable, and both squads going into each match will understand what they're getting themselves into. Thus, yeah. And who is the best operator on defense for that mentality, would you say, Parker?
Probably Mira.
Probably Mira.
Probably Mira.
Yeah, when you know where the attack's gonna be coming from, what you're dealing with, Mira's just like at the tippity top of that list. Apart from her, you've got things like Echo, you've got Smoke, stuff like that. But she is, again, one of the most powerful defensive operators, and then just for you know, strategic purposes, probably the best ban for any team. And we often do see her used in the manner of let's bring the other team that we think is maybe a little bit better than us down to our level. And you know, whether or not that's true is beside the point. That's how squads will often use her ban. And same thing goes for Hibana on a map like Oregon, or Thermite on a map like Border.
Or Thermite even on a map like Consulate as
or
well.
There, yeah, because you know,
he is a must pick for at least one of those sites, and a lot of teams will roll him because of that. So, interestingly enough, as for OrgLess, we have seen a lot of Lion play. Hungary was playing Lion, I think, almost every single round on Coastline. Last time that we saw OrgLess in action, instead, they have moved Hungary onto the Zofia, and Rips is taking the job of Lion. Interestingly enough, they're one of the European teams that still love to run Lion religiously.
Yeah, and Lion's a very powerful operator. Ooh, that was actually close for Aces. He doesn't know how close he came to a kill just now, but yeah, no, Lion's still a very powerful operator. He's just not as powerful as he once was, and there are other options in hand. You know, you can see how it plays out very differently.
They're doing a great job of droning out Lackey, the Vigil playing inside a meeting hall. Great coordination from both Hungary as well as Aces. That SMG-12 and the DMR of Dokkaebi working away at the back meeting hall wall before Hungary is able to blow it apart with one of his explosive blasts from the lifeline. But the Vigil will manage to get away, and you could see that those hatches were open in meeting hall. So at any moment, Lackey can drop down. Still, he's going to hang on, just watching through the sofa at the back of that big tower, and Rips lighting up Leo Gids, and he manages to safely get away.
Good job there to get away with his life, but you have to admit he probably shouldn't have been playing that position in the first place. Same as Lackey, who dies to Aces. Bad timing there for Lackey to stand up, but Lems manages to get the refrag, and a very important one at that, given that OrgLess is on such little time. And here we go, another refrag. CZ onto Hungary, Para onto Lems, but the diffuser's been planted all the while. We didn't even get to see it from behind. The diffuse plant goes down, and now OrgLess in a post-plant situation, but the last defender is going to stick it. He's, in fact, going to hold on to that diffuse disable, but nope, it's not going to happen. OrgLess managed to get that first round. Good job there to Para to read the situation and push in. You got to imagine, though, if he weren't a 3-speed, maybe he wouldn't have made it.
No, and the Lion as well was way, way off of Rips. It was really only up to Para, and that could have been a pretty hairy situation if you had seen Meepy, I believe it was, as the smoke last alive, going for the diffuse to pop off and then kill the IQ. It would have taken a very long period of time, possibly longer than 7 seconds, for the Lion to get from that front door all the way down to the back of the supply room. But OrgLess has at least opened things up here on a very swift attack. Can we talk about how KS was basically just able to waltz right in with nobody paying any attention at all, and then plant the diffuser without anybody seeing?
Yeah, a distinct lack of coverage from IDK. A lot of it coming down to the focus on their roamers and the play on the west side of the building. While it can be useful in the later ends of the round, you're looking at exposing your flank. That's that construction push that Chaos really, he saw the opportunity there, and he just yeah, he just walked in. It's not that complicated. It was a simple oversight from IDK, but still an important one. A lot of it comes down to Lackey dying in the meeting hall. You can see that he was playing that meeting hall drop down with the specific purpose of holding the flank, holding the north side of that site. And it's really easy to do that because when you have the drop down open, you have nobody can push past you basically. But due to his death, that coverage was gone, and then OrgLess were like, oh, okay, well, he was the only one watching the flank, so we can push in and plant. Good job there from them, and now, I don't know, despite losing that basement hold, we'll go upstairs.
So an opportunity for them to try something new. All right, and we've seen this from teams though. They lose a site and they'll rotate because they know they have the opportunity to do so. It's not like they'd already won dorms, they lost basement, and say, oh, you know, let's roll the die on another potential site instead. They're going to go to what seems to be a pretty big no-brainer, which is dorms. And
yeah,
we're still living in the world where both of these sites are often interchangeable for defenders. It's not like either of them really sets you at a big disadvantage.
Yeah, it'll be that way until, you know, this map gets changed in one way or another, or an operator that's heavily influencing the meta gets released. Like, I mean, we saw that with Blackbeard when he got released. Some of the really old maps. Most of you won't know about this, but some of the really older maps that used to be played in Pro League that people actually liked a lot, like House, for example, just completely killed off. You know, unplayable because of the release of Blackbeard. And you see that happen with a lot of these seasons where a certain operator will change things. Like Mira's probably the most overall influential. She's made a lot of sites that weren't viable, completely viable. Oregon, yes, before Mira was hellish to defend, and with Mira, the basement has become an accessible region.
Also, the just sheer power that a Lion has on certain sets as
well. Yeah.
We saw that the basement fell out of favor quite strongly because of Lion here, and that's what prompted a lot of people to go up to dorms. And I think it's interesting because it's actually made teams better to defend dorms. It forced them to diversify their site rotation, and now it's really helping them.
And you're going to see the same thing with this 3-site rotation, the forced diversity. That's definitely going to come into play later on in the season. You'll see teams be more adept on other sites. But all that said, here we have a 10-man 5v5, but as I say that, Leon, the first kill of the round. Hungry goes down. That's a good read there from Leon, seeing the shots by the door and going for that pre-fire through the wall. They don't know that they have the diffuser down, but OrgLess has got to be aware of this, and they're going to have to pick it up with only a minute left. The time is working against them in this situation. And more importantly, OrgLess have really no distinct control. They have no avenue to attack right now. It's not the greatest round for them so far, and they haven't actually done anything with their time.
Now, Leon Gids will get his second on a Perez. Aces had taken some damage earlier on. The Lion will use his gadget to try and keep everybody in place. The Maestro of LMZ will be spotted, and it'll be KS trying to go for the kill to the floor. Aces will get one, and KS jumping in. So we'll put us at a 3v3. Now, this could have been a potentially fatal blow to OrgLess to try and fetch that diffuser downstairs, but it looks like they'll have every opportunity to do that, as OrgLess has almost complete control from below. But just as I say that, cue the Jaws theme as Leon Gids works his way in through that pantry wall and now inside a kitchen, but will be undone, providing that he gets spotted on the flank. At the moment, no. Diffuser's still down, and it looks like the Dokkaebi will run right in. Leon Gids hearing those steps, but Aces will be able to get out. Only 10 seconds to go. Leon Gids will come head-to-head with the Dokkaebi here. Dispatch. Leon Gids is down. OrgLess in decent position, but they're running out of time. Aces working his way up to the top of White Stairs. Rips watching for the cover. He'll see one, try to go for the smoke. He'll get it, and that'll be IDK actually winning the round despite Rips getting the kill, because of time and time alone. OrgLess just a bit too much off the pace.
We see that often, actually, especially on Oregon, where time is the true victor of the round. So good job there to IDK to equalize on the round count. But I don't know, it looks like OrgLess could have taken that if they hadn't dropped the diffuser outside of showers so early in the round, because you saw it spent a lot of their time.
Yes.
They had to have spent a whole minute retrieving that diffuser, and all the while Leon Gids tearing them apart as they were attempting that. So not the best management there of the diffuser, but also strategically, OrgLess, I cannot for the life of me get an understanding of what their strategy was, what their idea was going into that round, because all they really did was have a couple they had players underneath the site, they had players on west window. And that, to me, screams west side take, which isn't viable in this meta anymore. It hasn't been viable for a long time, and a lot of teams have shunned it, just like ignored it now because of that fact. And the reason being is, what do you do with the west side take? You put yourself on the west window into the B-bomb site, and then you come up from white stairs, and that's it. I mean, that's a one-dimensional take, even though you're coming from two different lanes, and it's so easily held from dorms. It's made easier if you have a mirror window, and that's probably why there was an attempt there from OrgLess on that strategy, because the mirror has been banned. But still, it never worked in the first place before Mira. It's just a bad strategy.
But I mean, hey, IDK still came very close to losing that round, though. That's the most astonishing part, is that even with all these mistakes from OrgLess, even with all the things you just mentioned about bad strategies, about having to fetch that diffuser, about being too spread out, about not having map control, they came so close to taking IDK down, despite that, and only really lost because their own inability to get to the site fast enough meant the clock struck midnight on them. So that was it. It's so impressive. So even though the round went to IDK, I am in awe of the way that OrgLess almost managed to make that work.
I will say without question, in my mind, OrgLess are a lot more formidable right now. They seem on top form. IDK, on the other hand, a little bit shaky. Now we're only 2 rounds in, but this is my initial impression on IDK, is that they've got some patching up to do. Now they've got a lot of time to do that, even in this match alone. Well, speaking of time, OrgLess going for a full committed west side clear. An older mentality, older strategy, but it still works out. It means you're sure that you don't have to deal with any roamers from the west side, because, as you may or may not know, there is no basement on the west side, only 2 floors instead of 3, which means there's no ability for the defenders to rotate there in the later parts of the round, given that the defense is on the basement.
I'm interested to see if IDK has any bigger plans right now. Lackey spotted on his heartbeat sensor, oh my, that was disorienting, saw that the exothermic charge was able to go down. Now, mind you, there is a mute jammer that is going to stop this exothermic charge from going off. So they have plenty of opportunity to try and push, but look at Hungry's in a great spot. He'll go for some disorientation, but it will also disorient Para, and they're stacked up on those stairs. The smoke of Meepy, who tried to get aggressive, will take some damage. Leon Gids is there to take out Para, and you've managed to take out the IQ. Can they get that mute jammer and still get this charge off? No, KS will pick it up, because this has been excellent. I don't know, has completely shut down OrgLess's ability to take out that mute jammer, and they'll have to go elsewhere.
Now, I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure there are still spots you can plant those thermite charges that the mute jammers cannot catch. I'm not sure the exact mute jammer set up, so I can't say definitively quite this second. Yes, no, indeed, you should be able to place them in a, or actually no, because of the corner. Oh, that's genius from I don't know. We'll touch on that later. But as the last 30 seconds come in, 5v4 here for I don't know. Perfect management of that lobby push, which forces OrgLess over to the north side. And they are going to be in a tricky spot when they go for this push, because they're dealing with the vertical drop. Luckily, it's not being hard covered by IDK. They're instead opting for a slower strategy. Hungry coming down the main lobby stairs, and he's going to get a kill onto Lackey because it's not being as watched as formidably. Hungry gets a second one from the flank. Aces gets Meepy. Steezy onto KS. A TK from Alems. He's the final defender, though, and Rips will get that kill after Alems also gets aces. So a slog of a round with a flurry of kills to end it off. And the genius thing about that was I don't know strategy, but regardless, they still lost.
That round, oh my. Oh, let's start that sentence again.
Reboot.
Reboot. Rewind. All right. That round was won and lost in the middle phase. The entire transition of the mid half of that round was where that round was won and lost. That's because IDK did such a tremendous job of shutting down OrgLess's ability to get that one mute jammer. And that plays into the fact that there's no Thatcher. OrgLess banned the Thatcher. So you know that IDK is capable of running that mute without having to worry about the EMP taking the jammer down. Because of this, OrgLess had to make a rotate. They did so fast enough to beat IDK in the slugfest that came after.
So I want to talk about that mute play as well, and it's been 6 picked here by I don't know. They clearly have an affinity for this strategy, and this is a really beautiful thing from them. Again, it also comes, like you said, that Thatcher ban was their idea. So let's talk about how it's relevant and the reason it's actually even effective. Now, if there were a Hibana being played, and in fact she's not being banned right now, it wouldn't actually matter, because the way they're placing their mute jammer, there's still that corner strategy that is in fact viable from my understanding. So you should be able to Hibana the drop down, and it's weird that we're not seeing Hibana played by OrgLess, but you know, whatever, that's their decision. But because you have a Thermite, the charge is a little bit bigger, and its hitbox, the way it's registered on the mute jammer, is likely very different. So it's probable that there's a place on the wall in Classroom that OrgLess could place the Thermite charge and still open the drop down, but it would be pretty far from the actual drop down, and it would require a very in-depth understanding of where that Thermite or what that Thermite charge will get when it detonates. So there was definitely a way around the mute jammer there for OrgLess, but clearly they don't have the understanding that they needed in order to get around that, well, the jammer. So yeah, good play there from I don't know. It could have been outplayed, but it wasn't. So.
And we are going to be in the exact same situation this time around, because IDK has set up the jammer in the same spot. So OrgLess was proficient last time at making the change that they needed to. IDK put in their best effort to ensure there would be no push afterwards, but the real question is, are OrgLess just going to simply realize that they need to make that rotate faster to Meeting Hall? Because I would guess that a big portion of why that worked as well as it did was just simply time and time alone, very similar to the second round, which you could argue also could have been OrgLess's if they had been maybe 5 seconds faster. So OrgLess has had a pretty good start so far, just as IDK have. Very tiny mistakes from these teams have been the difference in rounds.
So I will say again that it's extremely likely there's a way to play around the mute jammer, even with a Thermite, easier with a Hibana. But I like that OrgLess isn't going to waste their time thinking about it, because this is the middle of a match. You think about that in scrims and in dry runs, when you're practicing, when you're trying to figure out how this sort of stuff works. But in this situation, what they really need to be doing is opening up drop downs, going for a construction take, and reorienting their attack, whether they like it or not, because they just, like you said, their time management is something they need to focus on.
And they've managed to get that back drop down as well that will go into box down by construction. And you could see that IDK actually pivoted on the site. The second Meeting Hall hatch will go as well. As we hit the final minute, 1/3 of the round is left to play out for these two teams. And they're completely ignoring the Meeting Hall, which is a wise strategy given the way that IDK has structured their defense. The real question is going to be, do IDK have the resources to hold off on what is probably going to be a back push? Because if they don't, they've essentially set up their entire defense to stall on the front side of the sites, but have no recourse now that the push has to come on the backside.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Last 30 seconds. Another 5v5 as we come down to this mark. That's been a very common theme in this match. Now, KS going to be the one to push in and go for that defuse plant. He's been lit up. Here comes the EE1D. Hungry gets Steezy on the entry. He's protecting his teammate, but the gas canister is going to down KS. Possibly finish him off. No, not quite. He will be picked up by his teammate, but only 15 seconds, so the attackers are pressured for time. The defuse is coming into the site now, finally. There are C4s on the defense, though, so it could potentially be stopped. Lackey will get Rips after Rips gets Leon, and Hungry onto Alems, Meepy onto Para. It's back and forth here, but the defuse has gotten down, so OrgLess in a great position. Lackey from above, though, gets KS. He's in the perfect power play position to get that coast plant in their favor, but Aces shuts him down from the tower stairs. It just could not be more back and forth. Meepy the final defender now, and he's in a 1v2. He knows that Hungry is on low HP and over by construction. As such, whips out the shotgun, going for the peek, looking for the information, but he takes a couple bullets in response from above. As he peeks into construction, doesn't see anyone, knows there's someone there though, so he's gonna get aggressive, but Hungry wins it regardless. Meepy goes down, and OrgLess will win that round, put themselves in a 3-1 lead. Thanks to some good play there on the actual entry. Though I will say, and it must be talked about, their time management in that round was atrocious.
Yeah, this laundry is just not working out for IDK right now. It's amazing to me, like I said, it's 3-1. Time management has not been great really so much this whole match. And like we said, this really plays into when, you know, you see teams not typically running a Hibana. But I mean, look, Hibana is not banned and she's still not getting used.
I can't get over that.
It's amazing that we are not seeing a Hibana being run. Is it just simply that teams are so used to her being banned that they're running a Thermite? Could it potentially be that they just know that their strats involve Thermite and say, let's not bother to make the changes we need to? It's puzzling.
I will preface this by saying I don't mean it as an insult, but it is a statement of fact that the way that OrgLess is playing is archaic. The way the strategies they're bringing out, the stuff that they're executing onto, the way they're doing it is very old age. It's old school. And I actually appreciate that in a way. And it's working out for them pretty well. So props to them for that. But not bringing a Hibana on Oregon slows you down no matter how you look at it. Clearing from the west side, some people don't even consider that necessary anymore. And it is a slower process no matter how you look at it. Their take into tower, utilize the drop downs more than most takes from the construction tower side of the building would from any other team in Pro League in this day and age. And I'm not saying these are all bad things. In fact, they've been working for OrgLess very well. So again, props to them for that. But it's worth noticing that the strategies they've been employing are kind of, I don't know, 2-3 seasons back. You know, I always like to say that meta in Siege is cyclical. And certain things that were rendered ineffectual because of repetition will come back into the meta as time passes on. People stop doing it, and people stop attempting to counter it because it's not being done anymore. And I think that's really something that OrgLess is playing into right now, whether they know it or not. And again, props to them for that.
I mean, yeah, like you said, we've talked about this with Clubhouse in particular, how cyclical Clubhouse can get, and how it's you know, always the same. But I mean,
well, not anymore, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, now that it's been changed, it's a little bit different. But you know, we're talking about it used to be the dirt blue push to isolate the back of Arsenal. Then you'd see church wall takes, and you'd see kitchen takes, and it would always be very interesting to see the way that it changes. But at this point, you can say archaic, but also, oh my, that's a freebie, Lackey. Why are you there? Hungry, able to get the kill. Lackey, come on. That's an easy kill. And I mean, part of your job as a roamer is to possibly kill time, but
none there.
None really killed there because Hungry was doing exactly what he needed to do and just happened to pick up a kill in the process.
Yeah, that's a whoops right there.
That's a whoops-a-daisy.
Wow, absolutely.
Would you say a whoops, or would the Zadaisy be added?
I would say it was whoops-a-daisy worthy.
Would you?
It merits the daisy to the whoopsie.
We have our first whoops-a-daisy award of the day, distributed to you, Lackey of IDK. Enjoy.
Congratulations, sir. Now, moving forward, the rest of Lackey's team are going to be pressured to put up more, and as I say that, Meepy gets eliminated. So Lackey and Meepy, two of the most well-known players on the squad, dispatched, and now a huge advantage for OrgLess. They've been, I mean, in the advantage throughout the match, and now they look like they're going to get a 4-1 if they can keep this ball rolling. They've got really good time management on their sides. They've taken control over tower very well, and they got a free kill in the process. They also got a kill into the B site, which means one of the defensive operators that were intended to hold it are no longer there, and now they're setting up the actual final push.
Yeah, you've lost the smoke and you've lost the Mira, of course, because Mira being banned out means that, you know, your really only option is a Maestro at this point. They're going to lose their Jaeger too as Steezy falls, and OrgLess is in the driver's seat of this matchup. Could it just be that they're doing really, really well on attack? We'll find out, as this is the last round that we will see IDK on defense. Ace is just able to pick apart LMs, and I don't know what is going on with IDK. They are just snoozing. 2 from Aces. And OrgLess will take the first half 4-1.
Yeah, absolute domination there from OrgLess, and what a shot there from Aces as well. We'll see the halftime play out, and the sides will swap. OrgLess now shifting to defense, and I don't know, shifting over to attack. So we speculated at the beginning of this match that the roster change from I don't know possibly going to really trip them up. Now I'm not going to say, or sorry, correction, backtrack. I'm not even sure what I'm not sure what I'm talking about here, but
OrgLess had the roster.
I was thinking of the roster change from OrgLess.
Yes.
My mistake. We speculated at the beginning of this match the roster change from OrgLess possibly going to trip them up, throw them into a position where they're not as formidable as they once were, but clearly that not the case.
Aces has looked, you know, quite adept, and I'm not the most well-studied on OrgLess, but they dropped Vale for Aces. Vale was also the IGL of the team when we saw them compete at the Six Invitational. He was also the IGL for the team last season. That, to the best of my knowledge, has moved over to Hungry, who's been doing primary IGLing, allowing Aces to fill that support role and allow KS to really frag out and carry this team when he needs to. But it's Aces right now who's really picking up the slack, and Hungry, who has always been a consistent player, IGLing and doing well too. So they've looked really good, and the interesting thing is the implications this are going to have for Sunday. Because Sunday, it's going to be a rematch of these two teams for the Paris Major qualifiers. And you don't want to possibly give too much away right now, because you might want to visit the Paris Major a little bit more than a single win in a possible Pro League matchup.
Yeah, the weight of the Paris Major qualifiers is a lot more substantial than a best-of-1 Pro League match that counts for a couple points.
Especially when you have a rematch and you have 11 more matches to go. Exactly.
So, it's not. We're not trying to belittle Pro League here, but again, there's a simple balance of weights that I think you can do in your head. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be as serious in this match as in that.
It's not. Yeah, it's not about belittling Pro League. It's just you can you can try in a Pro League match. Don't get me wrong, but the grand prize is going to LANs and competing, and you might have an opportunity to go to a LAN with Paris Major. First kill, by the way, it's going to go to Meepy onto KS, and yikes, they lose the Jaeger through the drone hole. We've seen this a couple times this season.
Last time we saw it, I want to say it was Fabian who was the one getting those frags. Could be mistaken. I can't fully recall. It was actually a while ago, but regardless, no. It was Evil Geniuses. It was definitely Evil Geniuses. But either way, it was BC. Haha, I did it. All right, but yeah, it's an angle that's actually been played by a lot of teams by a lot of times.
Yes, it was when they played in their match against Obey, which was in the first week, the first play day rather, because weeks don't matter.
I have a famously poor memory, and I'm amazed at myself for remembering that.
You are particularly sharp in certain instances, so I don't think you need to.
Well, I have bad memory that I know.
Maybe they'll able to get that lead-off kill, and they can possibly grab the intel. As you can see, IDK has managed to work their way in towards the kitchen, and Alem's unhappy as the ADS will grab his frag grenade. You can see some frustration as a lot of pressure being put on this kitchen at the moment. And that's the primary focus of IDK as they look towards the kitchen wall. But at the moment, OrgLess is just going to persist. There is a mute jammer there that is going to, I suppose, potentially anger them. Para expecting a push from the Lion towards the back tower. The mute is prone in meeting hall, just waiting and watching, and that's Lackey who will pop his EE1D. But there will really be nothing accomplished other than IDK being able to rotate amidst the 4-second freeze on the defenders.
4 seconds, though, a lot of time as we come down to the final minute. OrgLess in the unenviable position of having a man down, but at the same, time, their time management was better, I think, on attack. Wow, what a shot from Leon!
Are you kidding me?
Vaulting in and eliminating rips like he's as easy as breathing. Well, he's just going to be playing the angles now, waiting for a refrag attempt from OrgLess, but it's not going to happen. The C4 from below, Para will miss. Nice attempt, but just not enough.
And we talked about time management repeatedly, Michael. There's only 30 seconds left, and it's a 5v3. IDK are going to need to circle the wagons real fast. Leon Gids up in attic. Everybody's going to be frozen in place. The Buck position to get a kill here if need be, but Steezy will open it up. Hungry takes Alems down before Meepy trades him off, and it's all up to Para, who has ascended the ladder in attic, looking to possibly go in, but his rotation will be shut off as he does not even come close to the site. Leon Gids is there to finish things off, watching that attic intently. He sees just the arm of the mute trying to work his way through the rotate hole, and IDK will pick up the first round on attack for them and narrow that gap. They are still trailing by quite a margin, and keep in mind that OrgLess is only going to need 1 round out of the next 4 in order to tie this up.
Yeah, and then only 1 more after that to get the win outright.
That is true.
Now they...
That is.
I wish you guys could see his face right now.
You are the king of Wrightsville right now, young man.
Oh man. What were we talking about? So yeah, no, this is the first. That was the first round of the half, though. So what we just witnessed could be telling of the future for this half, where it's possible. I don't know, just didn't know how to defend, and now that they're on attack, we'll have a better go of it. Also worth talking about. I know it's a little thing, but it's actually pretty huge. I don't remember the last time I saw Twitch played. I'm like looking back right now, I'm thinking about the matches I've casted this season, and at least in the ones I've casted, I do not recollect a Twitch once.
I think the teams have been relying on Thatcher an awful lot, and then
or just IQ.
IQ has been playing that pretty consistent role, which we saw get flexed onto for IDK. So now you've got an IQ up there for Leon Gids, but also Zofia. And we've talked about Zofia an awful lot. She has been a very interesting operator, and her impact. Number one, almost universally agreed upon that she pushed Ashe out of the top 5.
She and IQ.
Along with Lion. Yeah, and IQ as well. They've both done a great job of that, but I mean, IQ doesn't, I think, have as much utility for
it's different,
breaking down a site than a Zofia does.
Well, you've got half of Ashe on IQ, and you've got the other half on Zofia. But the ultimate truth is that they're both useful, and they both get played.
The thing with Zofia is,
I mean, look here, we have both.
You throw 3 breaching charges on her. She's still got the 2 explosive rounds, and she's got 4 concussive mines. She's able to eat up 2 ADSs at minimum, possibly 3. She's also got basically 2 gigantic explosive holes that she can open up with her actual lifeline, and then the 3 breaching charges. And we've seen teams actually use her in place of Buck, in place of Ashe, in place of Sledge, because she's got great fragging potential, and she doesn't need to be as vulnerable with her gadget as the other 3 possibly do with theirs.
Yeah, Zofia is ultimately one of the... I think she gets slept on a lot. Definitely not looked at as much, and it's because she fills a particular role that isn't really, you know, it's not as utility-based, yet at the same time so utility-heavy. It's kind of interesting how she plays. I really like what I'm seeing here, real quick to jump off of that conversation. I like what I'm seeing here from IDK, because they're rotating off of their initial push, realizing that the construction wall was unreinforced, and now they're going to go for a blitz push following this EE1D into the site, thanks to that unreinforced wall. We've seen it here, and now Alems all the way in will get hungry from behind. All of these roamers so far afield, and I don't know, have complete control over the site right now. Ace is going to fight back, though, and that's a huge frag for him. But he's maintaining his position. The C4 poorly placed. Well, finally going the right wall, but he's eating bullets all the while. Leon Gids will miss out on that opportunity as Aces rotates to Harry Potter. KS from a side will get Meepy, and Leon trying to force the kill onto this Valkyrie will get the pre-fire thanks to the EU1D, having that Valkyrie stand still. Ace is not feeling good about that. KS, though, holding on to these stairs. It's still a complete switcheroo, so I don't know, still have control over the site, but OrgLess are all above them now, waiting for their opportunities. Now, while this standoff is happening, the diffuser has been planted, and Lackey will get KS when the push comes down. Rip's able to refrag Para. What a shot on the Leon. Sia is now in a 1v1, and Steezy will get Para. So it's looking good for him, but Rip's trying to challenge from that laundry room. Steezy going for the pre-fire, hitting the shot. Rips cannot respond in time, and what a round! I don't know.
That was
something.
That was really something. That's a. So let's break down exactly what happened here. OrgLess's opportunity looked to be to try and fight from the hatches above, maybe even to give them an opening. I mean, as a team like OrgLess, you open up all the hatches, you can watch from above, and you leave some of construction reinforced. That, to me, strikes me as either a colossal, crippling oversight, or it's deliberately a bait because you think your retake is going to be good enough. Now, the retake was almost good enough. If it wasn't for Steezy getting 2 kills in the 1v2, that round goes to OrgLess. And interestingly enough, when IDK were in sight, the only member that wasn't within striking distance of the actual site was Steezy, who was the one who had the diffuser, and they needed to get him to hustle to site as quickly as he could. What a remarkable strategy for the teams, and interesting things that we have seen happening. Now, IDK wisely have been running a Hibana almost every single round. I believe this will now be every single round since it's the 3rd round for the team. And they're using her effectively. They're rushing, they're pushing. That's exactly what they should be doing. And if I'm OrgLess, I kind of worry because it definitely feels like the tides have turned, and IDK has found all of this momentum, and it could just be that we're looking at a potential attacker-favored Oregon.
Yeah.
The opposite of Supremacy Vitality. Of the 8 rounds, only 3 went to the defense, my apologies. So 5 went to the attackers for Vitality Supremacy, but we're looking at only 1 defensive win through the 7 rounds so far.
Yeah, and it seems like OrgLess really aren't having a great time on defense, and that's kind of the moral, or the end of the story. I mean, you say it was a bait, or it could have been a bait. I just can't see it as such. And the reason being, if you're going to bait into a push from construction, you're going to have those meeting hall drop downs open, and you're going to have someone stuck on one of them or both of them, in fact, to watch for the inevitable push. I think it was a good play by, I don't know, a good read, and a huge oversight by OrgLess, and I think it's that simple.
It was very interesting because both teams played pretty recklessly once they actually got to the site, right?
Yeah.
The way that OrgLess tried to fight for their retake, and then IDK couldn't establish control of the site was very perplexing.
And the diffuser's just too far.
Yeah, and they had to wait almost 45 seconds for IDK to be able to reposition Steezy to get the diffuser down, which they did, mind you, but almost lost it in the post-plant.
All that said, an interesting previous round, and now we will have a not a defense of the top floor, a defense of the basement yet again, but lots of roamers upstairs, so it's very deceptive. You see OrgLess on a heavy roam for the second time in a row. It didn't work out great for them the first time, but most probably they have reinforcements on that construction wall. We don't know yet, but I'm fairly certain this time, and it's because of that, I don't know, not likely to go for the same exact rush strat. You can see Alem's going to be putting some lifelines there onto OrgLess from very far, trying to support his teammates.
He should have been able to call that. So he fired the concussive burst in which proximity-based went off to KS. Leon Gids should then know that somebody is coming up his direction. FOMO will go down and KS goes for a pre-fire but cannot connect any shots as Leon Gids has wisely fallen off of the stairs and retreated to the safety of the bathroom.
Para gets Lackey in the meeting hall and will fall back right after. So man advantage. One of the most valuable operators on attack eliminated, but 2 for IDK. Alems and Leon onto KS and Aces, and that's got to be, oh, wow, another one for Alems. Rips goes down, and what is happening here for OrgLess? They are completely falling apart.
This is an excellent roam clear from IDK. At the moment, they were able to hunt down the 3 off-site players, and now it's up to the 2 SAS of just Para and Hungry left. So you've got a Mute and a Smoke with tons of utility. Alems is going to try to take some gunfire away from Hungry, who the Smoke maybe shouldn't have possibly pressured that angle. They have time on their side. They have 35 seconds left. And of course, with those toxic gas canisters of smoke available, it's a perfect opportunity for them to try to chain them together. You're going to see some smokes going down and return from Smoke as Hungry will throw 2 down. And the diffuser will go down as Steezy gets felled by the toxic gas, but Meepy will take out Hungry, and that's the last canister tossed off. The Mute will try to get some gunfire into the wall, but Meepy will be there to clean it up, and we are all tied up. IDK striking back. Excellent counter punches and looking a lot better than they did to start things off with.
That's 3 in a row now for IDK. Just wow. I mean, OrgLess looked completely dominant in the first half. And now in the second half, I don't know, have woken up, and they have not given an inch. At no point does OrgLess look like they can win rounds. On defense, they're really struggling.
Which is the complete opposite of what we saw when OrgLess were on attack, which is they took 4 of the 5 rounds, and the 1 round they lost, they were in perfect position to capitalize. They just ran out of time.
You know, we've had very different mentalities on attack and defense here for the different squads. But I think we can safely say that this is just a side favored map. Attack really is the one to get the favor in this case. Given the operator bans that we have, only 1 defensive win that I can see here for I don't know, and OrgLess just hasn't gotten theirs yet.
It's incredible. It's very similar to like what we said, like what I said earlier on our border match yesterday for Latin America. You ban the Thermite, you ban the Hibana, and what happens? The attackers don't win a single round until the very end in order for, I believe it was Team 1, like I said, to put it away against Boot Camp. So nonetheless, pretty intriguing so far. And hey, we're in a position right now where IDK could potentially win this one, and if they do put 4 in a row, then you find yourself in a position where they're not dropping a single point and they can't lose. Once again, no matter what, the winner of this round secures the fact that they cannot be beaten on this map.
Yeah, and in this case, you know, we're talking about Hibana and Thermite in that previous match for Latin America. In this match, it's Echo and Mira.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about Oregon basement defense right now, which is what we're seeing. And not having a Mira is forcing OrgLess each of these rounds. The reason they've been roaming so heavy, if you're wondering, it's because they know they don't have a Mira, and they need to slow down the attack at least somewhat. Because otherwise, when it gets to the actual site play, it becomes exceedingly difficult. without a Mira to contest the angles directly. And then on top of that, the way you contest them indirectly is operators like Echo, for example. And sure, you still have Maestro, you still have Smoke, you still have players or operators with C4, but Echo is the most proficient at denying the defuse plant at places like Laundry, which is why we saw just now, actually, OrgLess be or struggle in that endeavor.
And we've seen so much Echo play on this map.
Yeah.
And especially on the basement. Maybe not so much play on dorms, but definitely a disproportionate amount on the basement down in Laundry Supply Room. So losing him could have potentially been a crucial blow here. And that was taken out by OrgLess, and it's hurting both teams, I would imagine. Right now, IDK has determined that there are 2 in Meeting Hall, and if they are as swift as they were last round, then both members of OrgLess are not going to be long for this earth. And that's Leon Gids right now, who could potentially take point here. KS will fall off, and I think OrgLess read that situation correctly. You know the pressure's coming in. You've wasted 1 minute and 15 seconds. Back up with your lives still intact, and that's what they've done.
I have to question that use of the C4 from Para. You only have potentially 2 on this defensive lineup, and now one of them gone.
Knock, knock.
It's one of your most important, we just talked about, one of your most important plant denials, and not having it can hurt. Now, I don't know, getting control over Meeting Hall, now that they have it, they're going to have to push their way into Tower, which they don't have just yet. Aces is contending this, and he doesn't even have a C4, so no C4 now for the defense since he's using barbed wire. Going to be droned out, but will be able to dispatch that drone. So trying to maintain his position here at Harry Potter. It's very dangerous to hold, but it's definitely possible for the defense.
The push is going to come from the main lobby, though. It certainly looks like as Steezy and LMs have worked their way to the bottom of the main stairs using their gadgets to try and shake out any ADSs that they might find and also eliminate the barbed wire. They're just primed and ready. Keep in mind that Lackey with that Lion has a lot of power in that 4-second burst. And speak of the devil, right now it will go off. A smoke grenade will at least stop Steezy and Lems for the time being, and this is going to be the true battle. Steezy works his way into the corner just by the bins, but will be amidst a smoke, and he will not last. That is it. He is down, and Diffuser will drop with him. Lems walks into the fray and will go for the plant, barely sticking it next to no health. Leons takes out Rips, and Leon Gids will open things up here. As Leon Gids goes down, Lems very low on health. That's Para getting the kill, and Hungry watching the drone, or watching the Diffuser intently by the wash basin. He will be frozen in place as a logic bomb will go off, as well as that EE1D, and they will be completely held in place. KS right now firing into Lems. He'll take a kill down. Lackey from above, nowhere near the Diffuser, and this is actually great for OrgLess. They're in a position to potentially hold on. Leon from above with Meepy, or Lackey rather, and they're gonna wait. Up Hungry will come on the stairs, looking to try to trade fire, but no, IDK actually clutching this round out quite well. It'll be 1 down. KS will get the double, but he doesn't know where the diffuser is. Does KS have time? He's so close, but it looks like IDK will manage to win it by just a second. He thought it was default, but it wasn't. No coordination. He managed to down them both. But IDK hang on once again. The timer being their best friend, and they will secure a draw at minimum.
Absolute heartbreak for OrgLess.
He crouched and he looked like he was like, I know I'm on top of it.
A huge mistake. I mean, I gotta say though, that all started really falling apart for OrgLess at the very beginning of the defuse plant. They spent a solid 10-15 seconds just sitting and waiting.
Right.
And ultimately it allowed them to get into a position to play the angles and get the kills and potentially recover that round, but they just wasted too much time thinking, not enough time acting, and because of that, they weren't able to pull it off. And this is what we were talking about earlier, though. The reason that defuse plant went down in the first place, no Echo, no Mira. They've been banned out. Poor use of C4 elsewhere. No secondary C4 on the Bandit. Nothing but smoke gas canisters to deny the defuse plant. That is not enough, especially considering how efficient, I don't know, have been in their attacks. They had plenty of time to get that defuse plant down.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and they allowed IDK to make the post-plant transition even before the first logic bomb of the post-plant scenario went off. So you've planted the bomb, you let them start to move. IDK basically get away with murder at that point. They are able to scamper off the site, and scurry as they may, nobody whatsoever whoever was there to possibly catch them. I mean, I think there was one kill. I think Para was managed to take down Leon Gids, but that was really it. The rest of IDK got away with their lives intact, and all they needed to do was watch that hatch from above. OrgLess was in great shape, but once they managed to get to the top of the stairs, KS wasn't able to locate the diffuser, which was kind of strange. You would have thought that he would be looking for it, maybe.
He actually got the kill on the one who planted, too. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
He killed the planter over by the wash baskets.
It was
or the wash basin.
It was perplexing. But
yeah, truly.
So we're gonna go back down to the laundry room because they're just gonna keep spamming it over and over and over again. OrgLess is going to be fighting for a draw, so they cannot win. They cannot win outright. So at this point, the best OrgLess can do is 1 point, but IDK, who were sitting in first place, recently overtaken because of Penta's victory, are going to want this W to continue to sit amongst the top of that leaderboard, because if they don't, then they end up in a position where they start to see themselves slip behind. And yeah, we are very early in, but you don't want to be in a position where you're leaving points on the table ever in the first week or the last.
Hey, OrgLess, I just want to say, basement defense hasn't been working, guys. And maybe, neither did their top 4 defense, to be fair, but maybe make some rotations. I mean, they need to at least change up their strategy, and it seems like they're trying to do that. Going for the heavy roam strat again, but it's slightly different this time. I'm still very worried about this, though, because every single time they've gone for this heavy roam, I don't know, has successfully cleared out those roamers, given themselves a man advantage, and then had an easier transition when pushing into the site. The only round that was even close was the previous round, and that was because OrgLess roamed, yes, but they fell off a lot more efficiently.
It was yeah, and they managed to get back.
Oh, here we go.
Perfect time, but Lackey is down. The Lion, who was playing up by back tower, is taken out of the fray by Rips, but it's a Lems there with the late trade off, the refrag for his team.
It's a very important refrag. OrgLess could have extended that lead oh so much if they were allowed to maintain their position. And I speak of that, KS will get Steezy, and over in Armory, Diffuser dropped. KS gets a second one. He is hurting after the lack of the clutch in the previous round, and he wants to get some kills to extend the lead here, and he's doing just that. It looks like OrgLess is set to draw it out, as Meepy and Leon, the last 2 attackers, can't even get this Diffuser. Leon will get hungry, so a fight back here from Leon, but still, this KS situation is winnable for OrgLess.
He's going to get pinched right now, though. You'll see Meepy will double up on him. He'll get pushed by the IQ. Can't win the fight. He'll really hurt Leon, but that's about it. It'll situate ourselves in a 2v2, at which point both Leon Gids and Meepy are going to go through the back of construction. And Para is nowhere to be found. He's way off site. That means Aces is the only man in a position to possibly get back, and he's facing the wrong way. So IDK is going to be able to work their way in. Aces sees one, but he goes for the C4, and IDK will have total control. It's going to be all up to Para to see if he can go for the clutch. He will silent drop, waiting to see if he can possibly push. The diffuser going down. Leon is going to be watching the angle as Meepy goes around, and Meepy will be able to get the final kill as Leon mid-plant. That's all it takes, and IDK, it took him quite a while, but they go perfect on attack to put this one away, 6-4.
I'm just gonna let that elite animation play out for just a second there. Thank you, Leon. But
you wanted to chime in as you were seeing that push unfold.
Yeah, so I really have to give a lot of credit there to, I don't know, Leon and Meepy specifically, of course, for the beauty of that read, pushing into construction tunnel right there. It was a spontaneous call. It was on the fly. It was an understanding of what their opponents would be focusing on, and that's the main lobby. The main lobby in that situation, most attacks and most teams, I think, would opt to push the main lobby and go for your standard, attack strategy. But I don't know, saw it differently. Meepy, Leon, they saw it differently, and they just, really a beautiful read. That's all there is to it. That's all I'm trying to say.
So IDK like to pride themselves on how good they are at map bans. I would assume that probably filters down to the operator bans. They managed to take out Ying and Mira, and I think by taking out the Mira